All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to today's live stream. Can everyone hear me? All right, people are asking why isn't it starting. Don't worry, guys, I started the stream. Sorry about the slight 2-minute delay here. I was just setting everything up. All right, let's see. Everything looks good here. Yep, people are saying yep. We can hear you. Okay, awesome. So I think by the title of the stream chat, everyone thinks that I'm about to blast everyone's college essays, which isn't true. I'm going to be giving feedback live, so if you guys have college essay ideas that you want me to provide feedback on, feel free to post it in the stream chat. And you know what? Make it easier. Say, we can do it in one of two ways. You can say roast me, then paste your college essay idea, or you can say give me feedback, and then paste your college essay idea. So if you just want simple advice, just say give me feedback, then post your idea. Or if you want me to be more critical, then just go ahead and say roast me, paste your idea. What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in. We have a bunch of people here. And to be honest, guys, I think on my next live stream, I might do a face cam because I feel like staring at a presentation slide for the duration of the stream isn't super exciting. Okay, let's see. What's up? We have Sand, Tuna, Sea Salt. Iman Khan, what's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in. Let's see. Why is everyone just posting pickles? Interesting. Okay, and also, guys, you know what? If you don't have college essay ideas, you can also just post college app questions. So if you want me to critique your college essay idea, say roast me, paste your college essay idea. Otherwise, just go ahead and post a college app related question or a study question or a homework question, whatever you guys want. And I'll go ahead and answer on the stream. All right, let's see. So here's an idea. My mother doesn't know that I'm writing this essay. She thinks I'm applying to her alma mater. Okay, that's very interesting. So you're writing an essay about how your parents don't know that you're applying to this college. I would lean away from that only because it feels like it's a bit too quirky. Your college essay should be something about you. It should reveal something about you and your characteristics to a college. Writing about how you're kind of, tricking your mother, that might not reflect totally, in the best way on your personality. So I would probably avoid it. Okay, let's see. Roast me, how I learned English using Discord and CS lectures after I moved to the US 3 years ago. Okay, so the whole thing about Discord is very interesting. So I think saying how you learned English simply by watching TV or, through another method that's pretty common, I feel like that would make the essay cliche. But writing about how you learned English through a Discord group chat or CS lectures, that does sound more unique. So I do like that. I would say maybe lean more towards the Discord side, maybe kind of bring up a community that you found, any steps that you took within the community to then learn English. But I think there is definitely promise there. All right, let's see. Roast me. Food, just food. I'm going to need more than that, unfortunately. But there is one kind of college essay that's around food that is pretty common. So I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but usually it's immigrants or, people of different ethnicities that write about their food from home. Usually in the context of bringing that food to a school lunch. So they'll be in 5th grade, I brought my chicken biryani to my school lunch, and then all the kids around me said that it was super stinky, right? I think that sort of trope comes up a lot in these cultural college essays. So if you're writing about your food from a standpoint of, hey, it's different, all the kids thought it was stinky and weird, and they don't like me for that reason, that is a pretty cliche angle to take, and I've seen it many, many times kind of just played out. If you do want to mention that, you could, but don't make it the center of your college essay because it is pretty cliche. How long should it be? So your college essay should be 650 words. All right, roast me, getting scammed in India shop and learning language because of scam and more growth. Not much to go off there, but getting scammed in a shop, that is pretty unique. I have never read an essay that has to do with getting scammed in some sort of shop. So that does sound interesting. I think there is promise there. And learning language. Yeah, I think if I had more details, I could better give you feedback, but I think there is potential there. Okay, so roast me. Over the pandemic, I watched a lot more YouTube, and it helped me discover my interest in astronomy. I used YouTube to learn a lot of the basics. Okay, so I think that is definitely on the more cliche side because during the pandemic, I think, everyone did go online and everyone did try, new things. Um, hmm. I wouldn't just say, I learned astronomy and it was interesting and fun. Like just double down on like a specific project that you did. If you talk about your interest in astronomy broadly, then your essay will probably be a little bit cliche. If you're just like, oh, I watched these videos, I fell in love with the solar system, it's kind of generic. Maybe take an angle of, I bought a telescope, I went to my backyard, I put it out, looked towards the night sky, and this is what I did. All right, let's see. Okay, so my journey making YouTube videos and discovering my creative side. It's cool, but just make sure you're specific. Like that topic proposal itself is very, very generic. Here, let me just post this in the stream chat. And also, maybe let's mix it up a little bit. Maybe I'll do like college essay feedback followed by like an answer to a college app related question. So remember, guys, you can post your college essay ideas in the chat, but you can also post your your college app related questions, your study tip questions, whatever it may be. All right, let's see. Does going to educational trips make a change in getting accepted in MIT? So going on like summer trips or summer programs, it really varies because some of these programs you can simply pay like $5,000 to join and participate in. Those kinds of programs probably won't boost your college application. But if we're talking prestigious summer programs like RSI, SSP, a bunch of these other sorts of programs, then yeah, those will definitely have an impact on your application. And a few other programs that come to mind are MITE, Mostech. There's a bunch of great programs that will boost your college application. But just going on any random one, it might not help. All right, let's see. Okay, so essay about research project that improved my city's mental health index. That definitely sounds interesting. Let's see. Without more info, I'm slowly realizing that without more information, it's kind of hard to kind of thoroughly roast, a lot of these ideas. I like the sound of that, like the whole mental health index. Like that's a unique angle. Like I haven't heard students take that approach. I would just make sure that if you're writing about the research project, that once again, that maybe you're writing about a specific incident or a specific portion of your journey, not so much like the whole research project broadly, because then that can be generic. All right, let's see. Okay, so what about a college about living with abusive parents and how you grew up with that? So, writing about, tough circumstances that you might have dealt with growing up, that is definitely a viable, college essay topic, and it is an important part of your story that I think, colleges should know about. But if you write about these sensitive topics in your essays, you really do want to focus on the growth element and how you overcame these tough circumstances rather than just emphasizing the tough circumstances themselves. So make sure colleges can, pick up on your resilience, on your leadership, on your characteristics that are really commendable rather than simply, just telling a super sad story, if that makes sense. And this isn't at all to dismiss, the validity of your situation or what you went through. It's more just so that, your college essay is the prime opportunity for you to showcase your qualities. And writing about growth is one great way to do so. All right, almost dying from air heater malfunction and realizing I can't escape risks in life, so learning to make the most of it and trying new things while I can. Okay, so that first half of that proposal, that's pretty interesting. Like that situation hooked me in. That second half just sounds awfully cliche, saying that you learn to make the most of life and trying new things. Don't say that directly in your college essay. That's just a very common cliche that's not going to set you apart. So if you do want to really set your essay apart, I think one of the best ways is to not make grand statements about life, right? Don't try to become a philosopher in your essays. Like, don't be like, I learned in that moment that the meaning of life is X. Like, you can't really pose such a grand realization in a simple college essay. So embrace understatement, embrace being realistic, embrace being true about the situation. So, maybe you don't have to say, I learned that, life is all about trying new things. Maybe you can simply say, I learned that, I need to be careful in, new situations. And that's still a bit generic, but it's a bit less generic than, something more grand about life. But I hope that steers you in the right direction. All right, roast me how ancient languages, ancient Greek and Latin inspired my love for biomedical engineering. That is very interesting, and what I will say, exploring interdisciplinary relationships in college essays is fantastic. I think showing, intellectual vitality in the form of, combining two different disciplines reflects well in a student, and it shows depth of character, depth of thought, creativity. So I think that is a great idea that you have going on right there. All right, Clara, how living in 4 countries allowed me to be proud of my nationality and be myself. That sounds more on the generic side. Sounds a little bit too cliche. So here's how you can make it specific. Once again, from each of the 4 countries, you can pull out a specific anecdote, or maybe you can just focus on one country, right? Because you only have 650 words. So if you're just trying to focus on each of those countries and give like an explanation of why it impacted you, then you're probably not going to have enough time or space to really, flesh your ideas out. So perhaps you can focus on one country of the 4 that impacted you most, if there is one that impacted you the most, and make that the highlight of your essay. All right, someone says, what is a good GPA for a freshman? So we can kind of mix these up now with like essay ideas and also just general questions. So what is a good GPA for a freshman? I would say that, for some schools, you really don't even have to worry about freshman year GPA. For example, Stanford and the UCs. And for the schools that do consider freshman year grades, I can't put a number on it, but having straight A's, I feel like that's the ideal situation for any student. I think if you're a freshman, having mostly A's and like 1 or 2 B's is totally fine if you're aiming for top schools. Mainly because, colleges understand that when you're a freshman, you're still trying to grasp high school and, get used to the course load. So totally fine if you have a few B's, but do try to aim for mostly A's your freshman year. All right, let's see what else do we have here. Does MIT explain why they reject everyone with the 1600? That definitely is not the case. All right. Okay, so Alyssa asks, how do you take pride in your achievements without coming off as boastful? So that's a really good question. Well, to be honest, it's not like the application really affords you the chance to be boastful. Like you have to consciously be boastful, right? So I think one of the ways is that if you want to write about your accomplishments, do it in a way where you're being objective rather than inflating the facts. So if for example you're writing about an award that you won, you can write about it from an angle of, this is how selective it was, this is what I did to achieve it, instead of, an angle that's like I worked so much harder than my peers and I was, better than anyone else. So I think one way to kind of avoid being boastful is to avoid comparisons with other people, right? Talk objectively about the award itself and the steps you took rather than saying, I'm so much better than, all these other people that, competed against me. Someone says, can you use the same essay to apply for different colleges? You can, and I definitely recommend that you do reuse essays when possible. So here's how it works if you guys aren't familiar with the whole process. So when you apply to colleges, you will most likely fill out the Common Application. The Common Application has the Common App essay. This essay is a single essay that will go to every single one of the colleges that you apply to. Then each individual college will also have additional essays, and these are also called supplemental essays. Some schools have like 5 supplemental essays, some schools have none, but what you will find is that supplemental essays between schools, the questions will be similar. So one school might ask, why did you choose to pursue this major? And another school might ask, please tell us about your intended major. Right? Like the phrasing might be a little bit different, but different colleges will ask the same questions most of the time. And so what you can do is you can look at the college, you can look at that essay and look at the college that has like the longest word count. So if for example you're writing the same essay for 2 schools, write the one that's longer first, then cut that down and reuse it for the other schools. And this is an approach that I took throughout the college application process, right? I didn't rewrite my why this major essay over and over and over again. I just wrote the longest one first, which I believe was for Yale, and then I just cut that down and reused it for the other schools that I applied to. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to reuse the why us essay for different colleges. So when a college asks, why us, like why do you want to apply to our school, that answer should be unique to that school. And you should not be able to copy and paste that for a different college. All right, so someone says, roast me how the influence of regional culture in my formation prevailed over the one of national culture. I guess my main question is, so what, right? So if it was regional over national, so if you were kind of more tied to your local community, what is the significance of that in terms of you and your character development over the past few years, right? Like your college essay should reveal something about you, and I almost feel like just based off that alone, it might not be necessary to talk about the comparison to national culture. You can simply say, you can talk about your small local community and how that really formed your values over the past few years. I think what I'm just failing to see is why the national culture part is like relevant. All right, someone says how to do better on the SAT. Khan Academy, just they have an amazing free SAT practice program, and if you're struggling, I would definitely recommend using it. What's your GPA? In high school, my GPA was a 4.0, but to be honest, our school didn't really do the 4.0 scale. We used a 100 point scale, so it was a 98.55 out of 100. Does varsity football help with top schools? So, Harvard ranks applications on a variety of factors, one of those factors being athletics. And not everyone needs to be an athlete to get into Harvard. Like, there are a bunch of students who didn't do sports and still got into Harvard. But what I'm imagining for you is, if Harvard were to see your application, your athletic score would be slightly above average if you're doing varsity football. And I think what helps more, if you're doing sports, is being the leader. So if you're captain, that will really stand out because leadership is a quality that colleges look for. All right, someone said, roast me, weight loss journey, struggle with food and body image. This is a very common topic, and if you don't write about it with enough specificity, it might sound like any person's essay. So here's like a quick test. And this isn't the end all be all of like assessing a college essay, and maybe this method won't work for everyone, but here's like a simple rough rule that you can use, when you're evaluating your college essay. Imagine your college essay, is in front of you, and imagine you took your name off your essay. Now, if you were to hand this essay to one of your closest friends or your parents, do you think they would be able to tell that you wrote that essay? This is also known as the whiteout test. It's been in the college admissions community for a while, but the idea is that your essay should be personal enough to the point where even if your name isn't on it, that someone who knows you can recognize that it's your story. So if you're writing about weight loss, it should include specific details about your weight loss journey. Specific enough to the point where maybe you're referencing apps that you used or, like certain habits that you adopted that you think, other students or other people usually don't take on or do. Someone says how to do research in high school alone. So most research you will do with a mentor, and what most high school students do is that they'll just reach out to professors at local colleges and ask to be like an assistant or to somehow aid with their research program. And so I would try to take that approach first. Independent research is definitely harder, and I would honestly just refer you to Google to see how other people have done it, mainly because I haven't done it myself. I did do research, but it was with a mentor back in high school. All right, someone says, roast me. I'm going to write about my goal to bring more creativity to the next generation by pursuing my own love of art and inspiring others. I felt that schools never cared about art growing up. Okay, so immediately this doesn't sound like a college essay. It sounds more like a mission statement, right? I think the college essay should be way more personal and it should be about you. I think writing broadly about this goal that you have for the future, the college essay isn't the place for that. You should be focusing more on things that you have already done and accomplished rather than a goal that you have and hope to fulfill in the years to come. So simply saying, I believe people should be more creative and I'm going to be doing this, over the next few months and years. Like, colleges can't really verify that you're actually going to follow through on the steps that you say you're going to take. So focus more on what you've done, to that end rather than what you're going to do. Bibbs asks, do colleges specify what your essays should be about, like a topic? So colleges do provide prompts. And for the Common App essay, you can choose from one of 7 prompts. And these prompts will guide the topic that you choose. And what's interesting is that the 7th prompt essentially says write about anything. So for your college essay, for the Common App essay at least, technically you can write about anything, but most students choose one of the first 6 prompts, which are predefined and will help you choose a topic. Someone says, is writing blogs in economics and finance a good extracurricular? If you do it consistently, yeah, it's solid. Not too many students are out here writing about, economics in their free time. So it's interesting. It shows intellectual vitality. All that matters is that you genuinely care about it and you take it seriously. So, it's not something that you start your senior year, you post 2 articles and you call it an EC. That might not sound as genuine as starting this like your freshman year and posting an article every single week. All right, Pratham says, essay about socializing myself after lockdown because I lost touch with people during COVID. I would avoid that topic. I don't think I've said this outright this stream so far, but that sounds like a universal experience that we all had because of the pandemic. And I don't think that topic will distinguish you enough from others. Mainly because we all went through that, right? We all experienced lockdown. We all had to experience socializing once again, once we could see our friends. So I would try to steer clear of that topic and maybe just talking about the pandemic in general, right? Because it's something that so many students are going to try to tackle. And the same essays are going to come up over and over again. All right, someone says, does having parents who didn't graduate high school a burden or something that can help you when applying for college? Being first generation, if we're talking just pure statistics wise, yeah, that can help you in the admissions process because, it is one of the classic hooks that people point to. And hooks are essentially elements of your college application that will give you a slight edge in the admissions process. And some common hooks that people point to are being a recruited athlete, being a legacy, mainly because the acceptance rate for, these categories of people are just way higher. And being a first generation student, maybe that hook isn't as strong as being a recruited athlete, but, if you have the grades to back up your academic strengths, being first generation can help your application because colleges do want to embrace diverse campuses and they do want students from different walks of life, not just people who have had parents who have gone to college, who know the process in and out. And so, yeah, it can help. But I wouldn't lean on it as like the only factor that will get you in. What is the best advice from you as an MIT alum or MITian to someone who wants to get into MIT? So the one piece of advice that I always give with MIT is to be vulnerable, but I don't think that's like the best. In itself, it's a good piece of advice, but I don't think it's like the best. If I really had to give you my best piece of advice, I think I would draw on my experiences from interacting with MIT students. And something that I noticed is that all of them had a genuine love of, I would say, building. I feel like a lot of them were just creative. They were makers, they were engineers, they were innovators, inventors, whatever label you want to put onto it. But I think every MIT student loved doing something with their hands and creating new things. And I'm sorry that sounds a little bit generic, but my best advice would be to, if you're in high school, find a project, find a discipline that you truly love and just create, build projects, build side projects, see what you can invent. I really got the vibe that everyone was like an inventor in some shape or form. So really embrace that side of your personality, if it exists, throughout high school. Someone says, can tutoring be used in MIT's How Did You Contribute to Your Community essay? 100%. I think I wrote about something similar. It wasn't tutoring, but it was a mentorship program that I was part of. And yeah, that was part of my community essay. Let's see. I'm just reading through everything in the chat right now. All right, someone is asking about religion here. So, how religion made me more religious at the same time, but at the same time more inclined towards science. I think this also gives or hints at that interdisciplinary aspect, which, to be honest, I'm always a fan of. I think what the topic here, what the proposal here lacks is specificity. So, if you can tell the story, if you can touch upon this topic through a very specific anecdote, then I think you should be in a good position. But once again, don't write broadly about your religious beliefs and science. Then your essay might sound a little bit too philosophical. But if you're writing about a concrete, tangible, very evocative experience that you had that allowed you to have this sort of transition, then I think this essay has great promise. Okay, someone says, thoughts. Mine was about the 3 things I remembered about my grandpa, attributing each object to an aspect of my life: my Hispanic heritage, my relationship with my grandpa, and my desire to be a doctor. Essays about grandparents are common, and I do remember reading an essay about someone's grandma and his Hispanic heritage. And I won't lie, the essay was very touching and it was very memorable, and I think it was fantastic. But what I think made the essay fantastic was that this student wrote about a scarf that his grandma knitted him. And I don't remember the story exactly, but I feel like she would just knit really often, and he would always go up to her and just, try these things on. Point being is that it was very specific. I still remember that essay to this day, because as I was reading it, he was talking about the colors of the yarn and what it meant to him, and I'm like, wow, this is very specific. This doesn't sound like a generic grandfather essay, about oh, my grandfather was such a hard worker, I love him, we always spent time together. No, it was more than that. It kind of transcended that by bringing this object, the scarf, into play and making it super evocative. So if you can find a way to make your essay similar, it doesn't have to be a scarf that you talk about, but maybe talk about a very, very specific bonding element that, existed between you and your grandfather, then your essay will be in a good place. All right, so we've been doing this for about 30 minutes. I think we'll go ahead and do 1 or 2 more questions here. All right. Idea: parents who are emotionally and physically absent with our lives and financial difficulties in a 6-children home. Decided to become a father figure for other people as I didn't have one. That's touching. And once again, I do like how you mentioned the father figure aspect, because immediately I can see where the growth aspect of this essay would be. And that's what you really want to double down on. If you have 650 words, talk about the circumstances that you grew up in for maybe the first 1 or 2 paragraphs. then for the rest of the essay, really focus on this transformation period, how you changed, and then how you became this father figure, and maybe even include an example of, how you acted within this new role that you had. And with that, guys, if you have any other questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram. I'd be happy to respond. Once again, I don't get to everyone, but I'll do my best. And yeah, some of these ideas today were great, guys. Like, I didn't really rip apart any of them. I think a few of them did need some work, but most of these essay ideas, I think it really comes down to specificity. If you can make sure that your essays aren't super generic or aren't something that can be written by like a bunch of other students, then your essay should be in a good position. And of course, if you need help with your college essays, check out nextadmit.com. I've also pinned the message to the stream chat. We'd be happy to look at your college essays. But yeah, guys, best of luck this admission season. You guys got this. And maybe I'll be back next week with another live stream. But please give me ideas, because I want to make these live streams better. But I feel like doing slideshow presentations on YouTube Live isn't like the most entertaining thing in the world. So if you have any ideas, let me know. Maybe I'll do a face cam soon. But yeah, once again, guys, thank you for tuning in. Best of luck, and I'll see you again next time.